got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city.
At the 22, Vernon Adams Jr. in the pocket. He's going to look to his right, look to his left. Now he's starting to scramble. He's going deep in the end zone. He's got a man. Touchdown, Montreal! Wow. Marcus Henry with his first grab as an Alouette. It's a touchdown pass on the first touchdown pass from the young career of Vernon Adams Jr.
7:37 on TSN 690. It's Weekend Game Plan with Matthew Ross. We're here till 9 o'clock. Back tomorrow, 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. every weekend. 8:05 Habs Breakfast coming up with TSN's John Lewin, Amanda Stein from TSN 690. You heard the clip. That was Sean Campbell and Davis Sanchez last week in Saskatchewan as the Alouettes beat Saskatchewan in what was a meaningless game. They have one more to go at home this weekend, and then they'll round it out next week in Hamilton. And the big storyline, as you heard from the clip, Vernon Adams Jr. making his second start this weekend down at Molson Stadium. We are joined now from the Canadian Press. You can follow him on Twitter at Fred Daigle. It is Fred Daigle. Hey, Fred, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you doing, guys?
Very well, very well. So how do you, as a veteran writer, a sports writer in the city of Montreal who's covered many, many events, how do you generate excitement about a game that won't mean anything for the Montreal Alouettes?
Well, first of all, Matthew, many would argue with you on this that I'm not a veteran, even not maybe a writer in Montreal. So thank you for a good word. But you know what? You go with the guys you think will give you the most at this time of year, because what's left to do then? These guys are already auditioning for next year. We know how it is in football. No contract is guaranteed, and these guys need a job next year, and this is what they're going to do. And for the Alouettes, well, the perfect way to go would be to have Rakeem Cato and a veteran quarterback. They don't have that luxury, so they have to take into account what both young quarterbacks can give them and make sure they get the best out of each other. So there will be a competition between those two guys for sure, unless they go out and acquire a veteran this winter. But these two guys, and I've seen them in practice this week, they work together, even though they know that for Vernon Adams, it's Rakeem Cato who could take his job, and the other way around too. So they instead of having a war, or war is a big word, but they're working together on making themselves better for this team. So maybe the Alouettes, out of all this ugly season, we'll get a silver lining by having those two guys working together and building together and improving together.
Does he excite you, Vernon Adams Jr.? Is he a guy that you think has what it takes to compete for this job and maybe be a starter in the CFL?
Well, we've seen only one game of Vernon Adams, but what we've seen is it's encouraging. He's a guy who seems he's a little bigger than Rakeem Cato, which will help him in the CFL and in any football league, but we could say. And he seems to move very good on the field. But I think you can't teach precision, and that is the asset that Rakeem Cato has over Vernon Adams. From what we've seen so far, though, we've seen only one game of Vernon Adams. So we'll see. Time will tell. But, I think he could be a capable QB in this league. But this is the luxury the Alouettes don't have. I think with young quarterbacks, you need maybe 2 seasons of grooming. But these guys have to be ready from day one next season, because the Alouettes can't afford a 3rd season out of the playoffs. I don't know. If I'm the Alouettes, I don't want to go 3-for-3 out of the playoffs in this market.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. We're chatting with Fred Daigle from the Canadian Press here on Weekend Game Plan with Matthew Ross. What's your take on Jacques Chapdelaine? It does look more and more like he will be the coach next season. I don't know if they're going to extend him or they're just going to, give him a 1-year shot here. But what do you like and not like from the new coach?
Well, so far, he's been giving this team a clear direction. It seems that the players know what the coaching staff wants and the head coach wants. And this, we didn't see that with Jim Pop as a head coach. And look at the stats too. The team is way more. The team takes half of the penalties it was taking in the first half of the season. It's just by that. If you're not giving away 90 yards on penalties every game and keeping that to 25, 30, and 35, you're in much better shape. I mean, they were giving almost a full field out of penalties every game. And this, we don't see it with Jacques Chapdelaine. As far as, he seems to have a very high football IQ. That's undeniable as part of, if we're talking about tactics and game plans and schemes, I'm not knowledgeable enough to evaluate him as a head coach like that. But this team seems to have a much clearer view of what is asked of them, all the players, and this is something very positive for the Alouettes. And you know what? Today is going to be not today, but tomorrow is going to be a very tough game against the Stampeders. The Hamilton Tiger Cats maybe is more in their reach. So what if he ends the season 3-3? You can't get rid of him. I mean, he took this team, which was going nowhere, and didn't seem to have any purpose on a football field this year. Seriously, it's no offense to all these professional athletes, but it was going nowhere. And he turned it around one by week, and he turned things around and made this team look way better than it looked all year. So even if he ends up at 2-4, I think with what you see on the field, he needs to come back.
Fred, can you give us a little bit of insight into whether or not it makes a difference, whether or not it's going to move the needle in the fan base or marketing activities that Coach Chapdelaine is bilingual, something we haven't seen in that role as head coach of the Montreal Alouettes from anyone else? Does this make a difference in terms of growing the game or the sport or the fan base of the team?
You know what? Even if it shouldn't do any difference, it does in this market, and this is it's the same with the Habs. It's the same with the Impact, and you know what? It was the same with the Expos when they were here. How many times did we hear people that it would be fun to have at least one guy who could speak French on the team? Is it the coach? Is it the backup catcher? Is it whoever? And this is why, you know what? With the Expos, I think he was doing a fantastic job, but this is one of the reasons Pierre Arsenault stuck around for so long in a bullpen, in a Major League Baseball bullpen, because in Montreal, you needed him. So, yes, even though on the field it doesn't make any difference, but, for the gate, for the Alouettes, it does make a huge impact marketing-wise, ticket sales-wise, and for all their upcoming activities. The Alouettes is one of maybe the most implicated team in Montreal community-wise. So they're going to have, on top of the francophone players, they're going to have the head coach who can come up in a school meeting or what have you and talk to the people and make sure they come to the stadium next year. This is going to be huge for this team. So even though football came first, I am sure that having this guy on hand came into the equation when it was time to replace Jim Pop. And now that they've seen the kind of job he can do on the sidelines, it's a clear bonus for this guy. And I'm sorry here, it shouldn't impact the decision, but it does in this market. And we've seen it the other way around with the regretful experience with Randy Coneyworth, and it's nothing against the guy, but in this market, just for the writers, for us, our job is way more easier. I mean, when I ask a question in English, even though I'm not too bad, I still think of it in French, translate it, ask it. Sometimes it goes out awkwardly. And then the coach answers me in English, and I have to translate it for my readers. So many things can get lost in translation. So even for us, it's easier. I get to ask my question in French to a francophone coach, and he answers me in French. So I lose nothing out of it. So I think everybody wins from it. And as much as an Anglophone-only coach isn't suitable for this market, you have a bilingual guy who can do a marvelous job on the field. Why not use him? As long as you can, as long as the results are there.
That's a great point. Just wrapping up with Fred Daigle from La Presse Canadienne, or the Canadian Press, and talking about the Montreal Alouettes. You mentioned the Expos, and you're absolutely right. You had Pierre Arsenault, a bullpen coach. You had others who were ambassadors, guys like Ron Pichet in the community, and they really relied heavily on him, a former player, not with the Expos, obviously, but it made a difference. It certainly made a difference. Claude Raymond was a coach at times as well, and that helped. So I think it's an interesting development, and if he can win on the field, then maybe you do grow your fan base by having somebody like this, and maybe you encourage the next wave of francophone coaches as well. Fred, thank you so much for your time. Merci beaucoup.
You're welcome. Merci, messieurs.